It's time to go. Let's go.
Hello, fellow digital and SEO enthusiasts. Welcome to another session of Linkgraph webinar. If you don't know me, I am Fidan Alizada, Marketing Manager at Linkgraph, and we are thrilled to have you here. Today, we're going to talk about mastering link building, exploring effective strategies, understanding Google's pattern, and leveraging HARO platform. During this power-packed webinar, we will dive into the core ranking factors, giving you a comprehensive understanding of what drives search engine results. We will also explore various types of link building techniques such as guest blogging, digital PR, link swapping, broken links, and more. And let me introduce you to our featured speaker today, Arman Advani, who is a Linkgraph's Director of SEO with over 6 years of experience in technical SEO, link building, content writing. Arman was a part of Linkgraph founding team, and he has been with us since day one. We would love to hear from you. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the QA section. We will answer all your questions throughout the webinar as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Fidan. Hey, guys. Great to see all of you again. I know this is some of your first time, so appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join. And I am seeing a lot of familiar faces in the chat, so great to see everyone again as well. As Fidan mentioned, we are going to be talking about link building. Link building is a multifaceted discipline. There are a lot of misconceptions about link building. So I'm hoping to provide you guys with a little bit of overview about what link building is at a high level, and then dive more into the nitty gritty as to like how to execute it, the do's and don'ts, and what represents a successful campaign. So let's kind of kick things off. Again, super high level, what are backlinks? In the simplest form, backlinks are essentially just site A providing a link to site B. This is the cleanest, most basic definition of a link. The question then becomes, how do search engines such as Google utilize backlinks? Like, why are backlinks important as it relates to SEO or a website's ability to rank? If we look at the original dissertation paper that Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders of Google, created, they talk about their idea of like what a search engine is, how it should function, what factors determine ranking. And there's a section on backlinks and PageRank. The section on backlinks essentially denotes that Google is using links the same way academic papers use citations, effectively to validate or support claims made on a website or within a piece of content. Google has then taken that idea within its PageRank algorithms and come to the determination that not all links are equal. So there's a normalization that happens when evaluating links to start categorizing them from which ones are good, which ones are relevant, and which ones are potentially irrelevant or off topic. So if we actually look at this snippet of text here, this is coming again from the dissertation paper from Larry Page and Sergey Brin when they were at Stanford. And they're essentially talking about how PageRank is calculated, how this methodology is being applied to the search index as a whole. It's a very technical paper. There's a lot of diagrams and industry jargon. So we're trying to just synthesize that into clean, actionable points for you guys. So what does Google mean when they talk about backlinks? So a simple definition is backlinks are effectively viewed as a voting mechanism by search engines. And this concept of links equal votes has been baked into the core infrastructure of Google since its inception. The major caveat here is that not all links are created equal. So what makes a good link is essentially the context of that link, the relevance of the linking site, and the relative authority of the site you're getting that link from. Links are designed to transfer equity, or backlinks in this context are designed to transfer equity from site A to site B, not necessarily send direct traffic from site A to site B. The traffic transference is more relevant in an affiliate marketing strategy, where you're actually hoping to get click-throughs and maybe get product sales and things like that. But from an SEO perspective, the core idea of a backlink is to transfer equity from site A to site B. Any referral traffic you get from that link is a fringe benefit. It's not really the main impetus as to why you're earning that link. There are two types of links here. There's going to be do follow and no follow. Both links are visible. Both links send the user from site A to site B, but a do follow link transfers that equity, tells search engines, transfer equity from site A to site B. A no follow link says, hey, the link is here. The user can click on it and go to the site, but do not transfer equity from site A to site B. So for SEO purposes, you want to be focusing mainly on do follow links. You do want to have some no follow links in your as a part of your overall strategy. But when you're looking to see results in terms of keyword movements or authority growth, you're going to want to focus on do follow links. Now, there are other ranking factors. So if we look back 10, 15 years ago at how search operated back then, links were an incredibly important part of the overall success of a website. Links are still an important part, but search has become a lot more democratic, meaning that factors like content, website speed, or the technicals of the website and the overall user experience have increased their weight in terms of how important those factors are for a website to be successful. This again illustrates just a diagram of Google's mechanism that they're using to understand, detect, and refresh links. It's a very complex system, and it gets more and more complicated as Google continues to iterate on its platform. But this kind of helps you visually see what's happening. Cool. So the question then becomes, what makes a good backlink versus what's a bad backlink? So backlinks from authoritative sites on a given topic. So what does that really mean, right? So if you're a personal wellness brand, let's just use an arbitrary example of you're a CBD company and you want to earn backlinks to help grow your brand and improve your traffic. If you're getting backlinks from a site that is also in the personal wellness space or the health space, and that site in and of itself is ranking well for keywords within the health space, then getting a backlink from that site is going to be incredibly beneficial. Because the site in question is authoritative in and of itself or in the healthcare industry. The other component of this is both sites should have content geared towards that keyword topic. Again, if we're taking the example of a personal wellness brand, if you're getting a backlink from a site that's entirely about the automotive industry and then providing a link to you in the personal healthcare space, makes no sense. There's no correlation really between the automotive industry and the personal wellness industry. So a good backlink would come from a site that is already talking about, maybe the entire site is about personal wellness or healthcare, or at the very least, they have one dedicated section on their site that talks entirely about healthcare. The anchor text is actually going to be a huge component of the overall link building strategy as well. The anchor text and web page need to line up. So for example, if you're using an anchor text like CBD oil as an example, and you're linking back to a page on your website, if that page on your website doesn't have the word CBD oil in the title tag, in the headers, it's not sprinkled throughout the content, it's not featured prominently enough on that page, then the value of that link is going to be severely diminished because the entity that you're linking to, in this case your website, is not relevant enough for the anchor text that was applied for that link, right? So the backlink and anchor text need to be properly contextualized, and there needs to be a strong correlation between the anchor text and your page itself. So what makes a bad backlink? Honestly, just the opposite of what makes a good backlink, right? The domain is topically irrelevant. There's a lack of contextualization from the article to the anchor text to the reference to your site. The anchor text itself could be spammy, or the authority of the domain could be very low. So the site in and of itself has no equity. So there's no equity to transfer over to you because the site itself doesn't have any, right? So anchor text, again, is an important component, but well, what is anchor text? So anchor text is essentially the keyword or phrase that is used to embed your link within. So it's usually, the highlighted piece of text, blue line underneath, that is embedded with your link. And search engines use this to understand, how relevant the content is for a particular page, as well as what keyword is relevant for the target site that it's linking to. So let's talk about the importance of anchor text and some of the anchor text best practices. So anchor text, it's essentially the description of the page that's being linked to. It helps contextualize the reference between sites. From an SEO perspective, it allows the user to effectively target high-value keywords within their link building strategies, and it helps search engines understand what keywords the target site is trying to rank for. In terms of how you should think about your anchor text for your own website, what you want to have to do is have 30 to 50% of all of your anchor text across your domain be branded keywords or naked URLs. So if we use Linkgraph as an example, 30 to 50% of our anchor text should be Linkgraph, linkgraph.com, Linkgraph SEO, Linkgraph digital marketing, kind of variations of our brand name and our domain name. That should represent the majority of our overall distribution. What we do not want to do is over-optimize our anchor text for exact match phrases. You want to be using semantic variations and long-tail variations of your primary keyword. So again, let's use an example of CBD oil. If that's your primary keyword, CBD oil is your primary keyword, you don't want to build 20 links that all say CBD oil as the anchor text. What you want to do is use long-tailed variations of that phrase, maybe CBD oil online, best CBD oil for sale, kind of long-tail variations that can still include your primary search term, but it has modifier text before and around it to help normalize your overall distribution. But since you're still sending the links to the same page on your website, you're still going to get that transference of equity on the page level, which will help rise all of the keywords associated with that landing page. As a part of your overall anchor text, you should also include some natural anchors, phrases like read more, click here, or according to. These types of anchor texts are just, again, very natural. That's kind of how journalists would typically write references, like according to site XYZ, and then make some claim to back it up from there. And this other concept of annotation text is going to be just as important as anchor text. So the anchor text, again, is the keyword or phrase with where the link is embedded. The annotation text is the text surrounding your anchor text reference. So the sentence leading up to your anchor text and the sentence following your anchor text. All of these, like these two sentences, the one leading up to and the one following, should also be contextualized in a way that the anchor text itself is still relevant, right? So it's more than just a random keyword embedded within a paragraph without any contextualization. The annotation text helps set the precedent for why that anchor text or reference was even used in the first place. So the annotation text is extremely important when thinking about how to craft your content and where to embed your link within that content. Cool. So let's kind of talk about some of the misconceptions of backlinks. One of the most common misconceptions here is the quantity of links alone determines how well a website would rank. Again, if this was 10, 15 years ago, I would 100% agree with that statement, because previously it used to be a numbers game. The quality of the link, the source of the link did not matter. It was just who had the most links gets the top position. But Google is an ever-changing mechanism, right? It's constantly evolving. It's constantly refining its search algorithms and trying to just provide the best results for users for any given search term. So as Google has evolved, their ability to detect good links and bad links has evolved as well. In today's ecosystem, the quantity of the links are less relevant than the quality of the links as a voting mechanism. So what we want to be doing here is focusing on securing high quality and industry relevant backlinks instead of securing a large number of honestly potentially irrelevant links from sites all over the internet or microsites or blog spots or sites that are totally off topic from your core subject matter. Second misconception is, if you just earn a high number, like a large number of backlinks within 30 days, you can immediately outrank your competitors. This is definitely not true. Based on our empirical observations of doing link building at scale across, honestly, thousands of unique websites, we've learned that having a consistent flow of quality and topically relevant backlinks to your site month over month is going to be exponentially better than having one large burst of links followed by periods of no activity. So fresh and consistent links, they essentially signal to search engines that your content or your page is still relevant and it deserves to be on page one because people are still engaging with it and finding it valuable. The main takeaway I would say here is if you have a fixed link building budget, and it could be a quarter, it could be a yearly budget, it could be a semi-annual budget, etc. I would strongly recommend amortizing that budget over 3, 6, or 12 months instead of deploying that full budget in 30 or 60 days and then just having no fresh links coming in after that, right? It's more about being consistent and deliberate as opposed to just taking a shotgun approach and really trying to build as many links as possible as quickly as possible. It is really a long-term game with everything. Honestly, with everything in SEO is long-term, but with link building specifically, you want to make sure that you have a healthy velocity. And honestly, your velocity should be determined by the size of your existing profile. So just to elaborate on that point for a moment, if you're a brand new website, maybe you've been around for 3 or 6 months, and you only have 100 unique referring domains, 100 unique backlinks, building 50 new backlinks in a 30-day cycle is way too aggressive. Like that level of acceleration is not natural. What you rather do is build 5 to maybe 10 links per month. And as your profile becomes more robust, you can then gradually accelerate your link velocity. On the other side of this, if your site is already super mature, you already have over 1,000 unique referring domains, then for sure you can be more heavy-handed with your link acquisition. So it is dependent on a case-by-case basis. A rule of thumb that I typically use is on a monthly basis, your safe zone for links is going to be between 5 to 10% of your existing link profile, because you also have to account for the natural links that you're going to earn through your content, through your referrals, through your media partners, and things like that. So another misconception about backlinks is that backlinks alone determine a website's ability to rank in search engines, right? Backlinks they're simply just one of the hundreds of ranking factors that Google takes into account. It is a very important ranking factor, but it is not the end-all be-all of what determines a website's success. So aside from authority, these are going to be some of the most impactful ranking factors that Google looks at. So the first thing is it starts off with the search intent, right? Google needs to understand what was the search intent behind the user's query. Was it informational? Was it transactional? Was it navigational? Was it commercial? And then based off of that intent, they're going to then look at how relevant is the content on a particular website to satisfy the intent of that query. And then what is the quality of that content? And Google has this concept called EAT. It stands for expertise, authority, and trust. So this is where the content quality really comes into play. Like, is your content well written? Is it well researched? Is it citing other third-party resources? Is the author of this content a reputable writer? Does he have the experience in this industry to actually come up with something of value to the ecosystem as a whole? Then Google's also going to be paying attention to the usability of that page. Is it fast? Is it responsive? Does it work on different device types? Are the images loading correctly? Are all the links working? Is the text fitting within the screen width? That usability of web page has been more of a ranking factor recently. I would say over the last 2 to 3 years, that component of search has really gone up. Whereas previously you used to be able to get away with having outdated, old, slow websites and still performing well. Google is really looking to make sure that they're providing a seamless user experience for their searchers. So having your website work well on different device types is really important. And then one other thing that Google does here is they look at the context and the settings of the user. So they want to understand, where were you in your journey when you typed in this query? Was this the first thing you entered into a search engine? Or did you try typing in something first, you didn't find what you were looking for, you iterated on your search, and then you found what you were looking for, right? It's also going to look at your location and any search settings that you may have. So these factors are really the ones you need to be optimizing for. Obviously, the context and settings are not something you can directly control because that happens on the user level, but the top level metrics, the authority, the content, and the usability are really going to be the things that you need to be optimizing for to make sure that you're thinking about SEO holistically and not siloing your strategies.
Armand, do you think that there is a limit for the company to get the links from the specific website?
So typically what I recommend is whenever possible, you want to keep your link acquisition as close to a 1-for-1 ratio as possible. So if you get a link from site A and that link is quality, it's transferring you equity, the next link you should get should be from site B. You shouldn't necessarily continue to get multiple links from the same domain. You essentially experience what's known as diminishing marginal returns. So the first link you get from site A transfers you the most equity, but the 50th link you get from site A is going to transfer you little to no equity, right? So the idea here is to be as close to a 1-for-1 ratio as possible. The exception to that rule would be if site A in this example is extremely authoritative and extremely relevant and has a readership for your target audience. So for example, if you're in the software space and you have the opportunity to get 5 links from TechCrunch, get the 5 links from TechCrunch, right? Because that's really relevant for you. But if the site doesn't have the cachet of TechCrunch and it doesn't have the authority of TechCrunch or the readership of TechCrunch, then get the first link, maybe get 2 links, but move on and expand your profile instead of inflating your profile. Cool. So cool. Now let's talk about the different types of link building. So the first one on this list is going to be editorial-based link building. What this is, it's really an article, right? But it's an article created by the internal editorial team of the publication in question. So either the site owner or managing editor, an internal staff writer has created a piece of content. And within that piece of content, they've cited your website as a link or a reference. The other type is going to be guest posting. This is also an editorial-based article. The difference here is that you have created that content, or a freelancer that you work with has created that content, or essentially the content is not created by the editorial team of the publication, but it is pitched to them and then posted either as a guest author or as a contributor on that publication. Both of these types of links are extremely valuable because when you have links embedded within articles, there's that contextualization component that happens, and there's strategic anchor text placement, and there's high degree of relevance between the context, between the content of the website and the site that it's linking to. The HARO network, so HARO stands for Help a Reporter Out. These are links that you earn by providing journalists with valuable information about your business or industry through the HARO platform. So the HARO platform is essentially a place where journalists go to request from their audiences as a whole pieces of information or quotes or snippets or claims or thought leadership that they can use to craft an article around. Link swapping is also a super popular method of link building. This idea here is a reciprocal exchange of links. So site A provides site B with the link, and in exchange, site B provides site A with the link. And this is essentially creating a duality of links where equity is being transferred back and forth. I would only recommend doing link swapping if the site that you're swapping with is, again, relevant to your industry and also has strong authority and traffic metrics. Otherwise, you might be transferring equity to a site that is not necessarily worthy of your equity, and the equity that you're getting back is not mirrored, right? It's not of equal value. So I would be careful when it comes to link swapping and really only doing this with sites that, align with your market and your authority. Broken link building or link insertion. So this is essentially you're in a particular industry, you look for articles that are already talking about your industry and ranking well. And then you reach out to the author or the site owner and you request that your link gets included in the existing piece of content that's already ranking well. This is a little tricky to do because sometimes the posts that you find can be months, if not years old. And webmasters or site owners are they're a little hesitant to go back and edit an article that was created 6 months ago, right? So it's a little bit challenging to do, but if you can find a article that is already ranking well for a topic you care about, and you can connect with that site owner to get your link inserted in there, then absolutely go for it, because that will help you, but it is time intensive and the success rate is not very high for a lot of people. So business listings and directories, these are also known as like local citations, where we look for the name, address, and phone number of a business and get those featured on prominent business directories like Yelp or Easy Local, sites like this, Yellow Pages. This is very important for local businesses, not super important for nationwide or global businesses. But if you're getting your listings on, again, prominent directories like Better Business Bureau, Yellow Pages, White Pages, etc., those domains do still have a ton of authority, and they do send a lot of search engine trust. Most of those links are going to be no follow, but again, it is good to have a balance of do follow, no follow. So wherever possible, if you have a physical location, if you have a head office, if you even have a virtual address, I would still recommend getting those business directories, even if you're not a local business. If you are a local business, you have to do this. If you're not a local business, you should still do it, but I wouldn't put it as the highest priority in terms of what you need to do from a link building perspective. Then we have user-generated links. These are going to be typically links that come from social media posts or forums. You can think about sites like Reddit or Quora or even Twitter, right, that are providing links back to your site. Again, typically user-generated content or user-generated links are going to be no follow, but the reason that they're valuable from an SEO perspective is because it's sending, again, these trust signals to Google that's saying, hey, real live human beings are engaging with this brand. They care about the content. They find something of value on this website, and they're sharing it and they're posting about it, right? So I would definitely try to encourage your client base to share more links about you guys. And even within your internal team, just have your team members participate on all major social media platforms, as well as some of the ancillary ones. Digital PR. This is a kind of an interesting one. So the most traditional definition of this is when you're essentially writing just a little brief about, maybe company ABC announcing product XYZ, or, company A entering market, or some type of, merger and acquisition, some type of news that a journalist may find interesting. And you typically syndicate this write-up or this brief on the press wire. And the press wire will distribute this prompt or this brief across, hundreds of unique media outlets, with the hope that a journalist actually picks up that prompt and turns it into a full-fledged article. Not all businesses are going to be, appropriate for this, because you honestly need to have something that is newsworthy, that is, exciting enough for a journalist to want to say, hey, this is really cool that this company's doing this. Let me actually turn this into a full-fledged article, right? So sometimes the success rate of this can be, honestly very hit or miss, but it is worth doing because it does, just kind of get your brand exposure out there to journalists. And, maybe if they're not willing to pick up your original prompt, maybe they'll still keep an eye on you, and in the future they may want to work with you because at least they've heard of you before, right? So digital PR can be quite beneficial, but there are some caveats there that not all businesses are going to be appropriate for this. Not all businesses are going to be newsworthy. So take that with a grain of salt. Definitely explore it and see if it's a good fit for your business. And if you have any questions about any of these types of link building activities, definitely reach out to me. So the next question is, well, how do I start securing new links, right? Like, what is the process? In my experience, everyone kind of has a slightly different methodology to securing new backlinks. I can really only speak for the methodology that we use internally. So that's kind of what I'm going to cover here. So the first thing that we typically do when trying to design a custom link campaign for a client or even for our own brand, the very first thing we do is we look at who are the top ranking sites in this industry? Who are my direct competitors that are outperforming me consistently in SEO or in search results for my target keywords? What we then want to do is kind of evaluate our relative authority in this market against our competitors. Like, are we the most authoritative site? Are we the lowest authority site? Are we somewhere in the middle of the sites that are on page one? What's their average authority? Am I close to that number or am I really far off? And this is going to help you gauge, very, very crude estimation, but it's going to help you gauge like how much authority do I need to build or how aggressive do I need to be with my link acquisition to catch up to some of the sites within my industry. What you'll notice here, it might be a little bit small for you to see. There's this column called linking domains, and you'll notice some of these are in the tens of thousands or even 25,000 unique referring domains pointing to this site. Don't be alarmed by that number, right? Because when you actually look at the backlink profile of these sites, you'll notice that there are hundreds or thousands or in some cases even tens of thousands of links that are just noise. They're not actually transferring equity. Maybe they're no follow, maybe they're irrelevant, maybe they're forums, maybe they're blog spots or microsites. So the vast majority of honestly anyone's backlink profile that's hit these numbers like 10,000 plus, the vast majority of those links are actually just going to be fillers. They're not the ones that are actually contributing to this website's success. They're just there and they're inflating the profile. So it is important to kind of review that list and really start to understand what is the composition of this backlink profile and not just focus on the count of links, but focus more on the quality and relevance of those links. So once we've determined our competitors, what we then want to do is perform a link gap analysis. And this is a tool directly inside SearchAtlas. So what we're doing here is we're creating a list of, let's say, our site or our client site, and we're comparing it to the top ranking sites in that industry. And then we're looking for what are all of the links or what are all of the publications or domains that are providing links to at least one competitor, but are not linking to our site or to our client site. We then want to export this list and start categorizing them and start understanding what is the composition of these links. Are they social media? Are they business directories? Are they digital PR? Are they guest posts? Are they, user-generated content, or are they standalone, like editorial-based backlinks? You then want to also cull this list and omit your low-quality and your off-topic links. Some popular tools to use to determine the relevance or the authority of the link are going to be, Moz for domain authority, Ahrefs for domain rating, SEMrush for their authority score, Majestic for their trust flow and citation flow. So there are a myriad of third-party tools that you can use to evaluate the quality of a link. Obviously, we do have tools within SearchAtlas to help you do that, but whatever tools you guys are accustomed to using is totally fine. But you do want to omit some of those low-quality links. And once you have this list, you want to start, you want to determine what is the best way for me to actually earn these links or prospect these types of links. So here's some tips that can actually help you increase your success rate. The first thing that we do after we export the competitor list, after we cull it and categorize it and organize it, the next thing we want to do is create a lookalike segment of publications, because the publications or the websites that are linking to your competitors are not the only ones that you can earn links from, right? That's a good starting point. That's a good baseline for you to work off of, but you can then source other publications that fit the metrics or the parameters of the list that you originally created through that gap analysis. So that's going to help you expand and actually get links that your competitors don't have and accelerate your outreach that way. Now, before you reach out to the publication in question, what you should be doing is reviewing the content strategy of each publication to understand what is their tone of voice, who is their target audience, what's the average length of articles that they're creating, how many reference links do they include, what sites are they referencing, do they include images, if so, what type of images, what is the angle that this publication seems to take when crafting content. If you draft your articles or your pitches to mirror that content style of each individual publication, your success rate is going to go up exponentially. If you try to force feed a generic piece of content and just blast it out to every site on your list, it's really not going to work at the rate you might think it will, right? I see this happen all the time, where brands create content that is very brand centric. It's like, hey, this is how we write, this is who we are, this is how we want to position ourselves in the market. And that's great for content that's being posted on your site, right? Because you're the one writing that content and it's going to be posted on your site. When you're trying to get that piece of content posted on a third-party site, that third-party site has its own internal editorial guidelines, its own standard for content, its own angle that it's trying to take. So your vision for how you want your brand to be positioned may not always align with how that publication creates content. So what you should be doing is crafting your content so it resonates and can fit natively on the end publication, not so that it satisfies your internal branding guidelines, if that makes sense. Now, obviously you can find publications, you can create the content, but you do still have to connect with someone at that site. So email is obviously going to be your best friend. Oftentimes the websites will list out, appropriate media contacts on their domain. You can also use, third-party tools like AnyMail Finder or Hunter.io to scrape email addresses and try to figure out who to contact. Sites will always have contact forms, get in touch, so you can use those. But what we find to be very successful is actually connecting with real humans on Twitter and LinkedIn, and kind of talking to them more, as a person, as opposed to, hello, sir or madam, please look at this beautiful article that we've created. Like, publishers are flooded with those types of emails, and they honestly just put them all into the spam, or they just delete them. So humanizing your outreach is going to be key to increasing that success rate. Talk to them as you would like to be spoken to, right? That's my advice there. And then, if all else fails, you can always link to them first. You can provide a link to them from your website, email them to let them know that you've done this, and, hopefully you can get a reciprocal link in exchange. Cool. Now let's talk about the HARO network in particular. So the HARO network, it's essentially journalists are always looking for fresh content for their media outlets, and they're constantly posting requests on HARO for new, innovative companies or ideas to cite. Excuse me. The best thing you can do here is diligently monitor the HARO feed for your niche and make sure you're the first person to respond. What we've realized is if you can respond with a well thought out pitch to this reporter within the first hour of that post going live, your success rate will increase exponentially. If you're responding to them a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, don't even waste your time in creating that prompt or that pitch, because that journalist has been, hit with dozens or sometimes hundreds of responses over the course of a day or two. So in this context, the old adage, early bird gets the worm, is very true when it comes to the HARO network. The next thing you want to do is, craft an extremely tailored and well thought out response. Avoid using like generic and salesy tactics, and don't try to create a connection to your brand or business if there really isn't one, right? Sometimes prompts look great, but it's honestly a bit of a stretch to get your brand actually referenced in there. So again, don't, really waste your time with trying to force an angle that doesn't exist. Look for more targeted prompts that actually resonate with your subject matter. And yeah, just to stress this, HARO is a numbers game. A 1-to-1 ratio of pitches to links is flat out impossible. On average, for us, we submit between 15 to 25 pitches to secure one high quality link placement to the HARO network. So it is challenging, it is time and resource intensive, but the links that you do get out of it are, by and large, some of the best links you can actually get through the organic outreach process. So what are some of the types of links you can earn from HARO? The examples that I put here, these are all links that we've secured for Linkgraph, our own brand, using the HARO network. I'm not going to open up all of them right now, but I'll just kind of go over what they are. So list roundups are arguably the most popular type of links that you see on HARO. It's going to be sometimes 5, 10, 20 brands featured in one list. In this example, it's, the 10 expert tips to explain how to really scale content production. And each one of those tips is coming from leadership at each one of these 10 businesses. So in that example, Linkgraph is one of the 10 experts being cited, but all 10 companies on that list are getting a backlink from that publication. So it's not an exclusive, it's a list roundup. Brand feature, this is a article that is entirely focused on your brand, either for innovative products or services or culture or ethos or something exciting that you at your organization are doing. The example here is, how Linkgraph is setting the example as a socially conscious brand, mainly due to the ethos that our leadership team instills in the team in terms of, animal rights activists and environmental protections and promoting veganism in the workplace and things like that. Thought leadership, in my opinion, is the best type of HARO link you can earn because you're actually adding something of value to your industry, right? You're not just blatantly plugging your own brand or promoting your own services. You're actually adding knowledge to your industry. And if you have something, exciting or cutting edge, it's really going to go a long way with improving your success rates on HARO. Innovations and trends. Again, the example here is, top 12 SEO trends to optimize for in 2023. So this is similar to a list roundup because it can have multiple businesses or multiple trends cited. But it is, I would say the innovation and trend is kind of a blend between list roundups and thought leadership. Really depends on the publication in question. And then the most casual one is going to be this kind of passing mention, where it's a really long form article. In this example, it's, how to create an SEO report for your clients according to 153 SEO agencies. So it's a massive piece of content. It's thousands of words. And within that, there's going to be a passing reference to Linkgraph again as being, us giving some input on this, the creation of an SEO report. So from all of these types of links, in my opinion, the brand feature and the thought leadership are the most valuable. But if the publication in question is relevant, any of these types of links are still going to be worthy. And if you can get them through the HARO network, by all means, really push for those. So how is HARO scalable? Honestly, like if you don't have a team where their entire focus is on HARO, or if you're not using technology to help with HARO, then HARO is not scalable. It's just not. What we do is we've actually created our own tool. And what it does is it effectively scrapes HARO constantly. Every hour on the hour, we're scraping HARO constantly. And we're categorizing all of the different types of requests by industry, and we're segmenting them. And we're creating notifications. So if a user is in the SaaS space and a new prompt for a SaaS product goes live, the user gets notified and says, hey, a new prompt is available on the HARO network, please respond immediately, right? And then using our content tools, we're enabling the user to effectively create that draft or that pitch or that response using our AI and making sure that the pitch is exciting, it reads well, and most importantly, it's in the hands of the user as quickly as possible, right? So this is the tool that we're currently using internally to fulfill campaigns. It's not yet public facing, but in the next coming weeks, it is going to be added directly to SearchAtlas. So if you guys are using the HARO network and you're using it manually, this tool can definitely be a game changer. There are other tools out there that kind of work like this. There's tools like Pitchbox or Prowly, sites like that. You can definitely look into those too. Whatever tool works best for you guys, go for it. I just wanted to let you know that the internal tool that we've been using is about to be publicly facing. So if you have SearchAtlas, be on the lookout for that. We'll make sure to send you guys an email when it goes live. So just kind of wrapping this up and bringing it all together, backlinks are still and honestly always will be a strong ranking factor. The main takeaways there are going to be quality over quantity, consistency with your velocity or your acquisition, topical relevance, and anchor text, annotation text, contextualize makes a good backlink. The other core ranking factors, like the core ranking factors to optimize for, we call them the core four: authority, content, technicals, and user experience, right? Again, within SearchAtlas, there are tools to help you optimize all four. But again, you can do this with really any SEO tool out there. Just make sure you're optimizing for those four factors when creating a holistic SEO strategy. For link building, link gap analysis and lookalike segments are going to be how you source, the easiest way for you to source relevant backlinks, and then determining which method makes the most sense: outreach, swapping, inserting, or outsourcing. Sometimes businesses don't have internal resources to focus on link building or outreach, so you can outsource it to a freelancer or an agency, subcontract, or something like that to really help take that component of your strategy out of house. And then HARO, again, it's a great source of high quality links. I can't stress that enough. It is really a great platform. There's a lot of opportunity to be had, but it is next to impossible to scale without having a dedicated team or automation or both. Obviously, Linkgraph can help you on the services side, the software side, or both. Really, at the end of the day, just build more links. Not all links are created equal. If you guys have any questions, my email is right there. If you want to sign up for SearchAtlas, we offer a 7-day free trial. If you want to do a one-on-one consultation, more than happy to do that with you guys as well. Focus on quality when it comes to your links, but don't only focus on links, right? SEO is a multifaceted discipline, and a holistic strategy will optimize for the core four, not just one or two out of the four. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Arman. I definitely enjoyed the information that you provided. I really hope that our audience think the same. If you guys have any questions, you still have time to drop them in the chat. You can totally answer it. But I also included the link to book a consultation with Arma, and also to register for our SearchAtlas. So you can be the first one to try out our HARO tool as well, and all other amazing tools and features too. So I'm gonna wait if you guys have any questions for the chat, but otherwise you can totally book the consultation, reach out to Arman or me for any questions that you might have. We would love to assist you as well.
Absolutely.
I leave my email as well for you guys. You can also send out the recording, presentation, and relevant links for you guys, for all our attendees as well. Okay, I think everything was clear and nobody has any more questions.
Awesome.
And I hope I will see you guys in our next webinars. Make sure that you check out our social media as Linkgraph on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And we always update and post our upcoming webinars for you guys. You can also leave any suggestion, feedback that you would have, any type of titles, topics that you would like us to discuss as well. We are always looking forward for your feedbacks. And see you in the next webinar. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining.